Do you know you have a superpower? And it's highly likely that you're not using this superpower. So if you're like me and you look at all these superheroes and think, I wish I had those powers, I wish I could do the things that they can do, I may not be able to show you how you can fly, but I'm going to show you a superpower that's just as powerful as that. So this superpower, if you think about it, it is similar to the power of the magnifying glass. When the rays of the sun are used to burn a piece of paper on the other side of the magnifying glass. So the magnifying glass is used to concentrate these powers. And then once they're concentrated, they're able to do more than what the rays of the sun would do on their own. Imagine that. Like if you put a piece of paper outside and left it outside for long, nothing would happen. But when you take a magnifying glass and point it at and concentrate the rays of the sun through the magnifying glass onto that paper, it burns a hole. That's because your superpower is your ability to focus. And I'm going to share with you why it's so important and why you really should grab this, because a lot of the times we're giving out our focus and our superpower away mindlessly. And I'm also going to share with you what you can do about it. Like, how do you have more productive days? How do you prioritize the things that you need to do? How do you not dilute this superpower? But first, let me start with a story. Do you know how to control the king of the jungle? Have you ever wondered when you see people like in a circus and you see this guy behind a stool or a seat and he's using it to control the king of the jungle? Like, he's a lion tamer. And as much as, sometimes people say that the lion has been doped out or something, at the end of the day, it's still a dangerous thing. Like, that lion is still moving. Do you know how he's able to tame a lion? Look at that stool. That stool is what's standing between the tamer and the lion. Know why that stool is so important? Because it's got 4 legs. When a lion looks at that stool, he gets confused on what to attack. And in the end, he can't attack anything. You move that stool, and he can no longer tame the lion. That's how powerful focus is. When you go giving your focus to other things and other people that are not relevant to help you in your life, then you're like the lion who's got divided focus. And at the end of the day, you're being tamed by external forces. Instead of running your life, you're the captain of your ship. What's that quote? I am the captain of the ship. I am you know that quote. Put it for me down in the comments if you know that quote. I would love to have the full quote. Just let me know that I am the captain of my ship. I am the something, something, something. That when other people are taming you, when you're jumping based on other people's demands, when you start the day not based on what you need to do, but based on your inbox and phone calls that come in, that means you're giving that control to somebody else. That means you're allowing other people to tame you, just like the lion tamer. And there's this guy, he was called Schwab. He's called, Charles M. Schwab. And he owned Bethlehem steel company. It was a huge steel company at the time. So he hires this guy called Ivy something. And Ivy is a consultant who comes into his company. He's trying to get people to be more productive. The challenge he was having is that people were not performing, especially his management, were not performing as he expected. So he calls Ivy, so Charles calls Ivy in and he's like, could you get these guys to produce more? And Ivy's like, cool. How much will it cost me? Now, this guy was rich at the time. So he's like, yeah, how much is it going to cost me? And Ivy says, actually, you pay me once you see the results. Charles is thinking, fantastic, what a good deal. I've been trying to get these guys to perform for years. If you give me the results, yeah, I'll pay you. So Ivy gets to work. And this is what Ivy did. He made he's called Ivy Lee. He made the team of Bethlehem still do this every day. He's like, with each executive, he made them at the end of every workday, write down 6 of the most important things you need to accomplish tomorrow. Do not write down more than 6. Prioritize those 6 items in order of true importance. When you arrive tomorrow, concentrate only on the first task until that task is finished before moving on to the next task. Approach the rest of your list in the same fashion. That means finish one task before you start on the other. At the end of the day, move any unfinished items to a new list of 6 tasks for the following day. Repeat this process every day. This strategy worked so well that after 3 months, when Charles Schwab came, was looking and he's looking at the numbers, things are going well. He's so delighted about the progress that he wrote, what does it say here? He called Ivy into his office and wrote him a check for $25,000. Now, in 1918, that's how long ago this was. This is the equivalent of $400,000 in 2015, which is when this was written. But that's how powerful focusing on one thing at a time can do for you. A lot of people try to multitask. Before I used to think multitasking was actually a good thing. And I would take pride in my ability to multitask. But then when I started meditating, I realized that multitasking is actually not good for you. And I didn't learn until later that what I had started to feel was actually true. So in meditation, I'm able to calm my mind and not have so many thoughts, like the monkey jumping between one branch to another. That's how our thoughts are. Like you're sitting in a restaurant having lunch with a friend who you haven't seen in a really long time, and you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, did I switch off the iron? Oh my goodness, what are we cooking for dinner? Oh, did I make that phone call? My goodness, I didn't send that guy that email. Wow, what about that? Oh, did I? Instead of being present. So what meditation allowed me to do is to be able to see that, to be more aware. It doesn't mean that I don't have thoughts. It doesn't mean that I don't also sometimes get carried away by my thoughts. But then it takes a much faster time for me to catch myself doing that and bring myself back to center and focus on the task at hand and focus on the person that I'm talking to. So in that process, I started to realize that whenever I tried to do multiple things, it just was not working. It just didn't seem to gel. It created almost like chaos in my mind. Then I started to read all these studies about the dangers of multitasking. And there are a lot of people who've written books about them. Deep Work talks about it. He's called Cal Newport, his book. Fantastic book. So he talks about multitasking. There are lots of YouTube videos. Like if you just search on YouTube, the dangers of multitasking, you'll see from the BBC, so many people have done videos where they talk about the dangers of multitasking, how it makes you dumber, how it stresses you out. Like for a lot of people, they are stressed out at the end of the day, and it's because they are trying to do so many things. How it slows you down. You're 50% as effective when you're multitasking on 2 things. Add a third, divide that further. So the more things you're adding, the less effective you are, the more stressed you will get, the dumber your brain will be. Like you won't be creative because you're trying to do multiple things at the same time. And because your mind can't multitask, it task switches. So when you're using the same part of your brain, instead of being able to multitask, your brain is literally switching between this task, this, like that. That's why it lowers your IQ actually. And you'll notice, like if you don't believe me, when you're driving in a car and it's a leisure drive and everything, no problem. You can be having conversations, changing the radio, not having a problem. And then as soon as you get to a point where maybe it's a highway, it's now traffic, like many cars are coming, there's a truck hooting for you behind, or you have to turn off on a corner and there's oncoming traffic going really fast. What happens? Suddenly you can't even hear what people are saying. Your brain goes so focused on the task at hand because it's life or death if you're busy, if your mind is not fully there. So your mind focuses on that one task to enable you to do it. That's because when it's life or death, like your body wants you to survive. So it knows multitasking is not going to help you, and it usually doesn't help you. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't listen to music as you're maybe reading a book. But if you're trying to concentrate on both, it won't work out very well. It also doesn't mean that you can't chew gum and walk. You can, because you're using different parts of your body. You're not really thinking. But you'll notice, like, when something happens, like if you trip, you'll notice that you'll suddenly be more focused on where you were walking before, when you were leisurely just walking, listening to music, chewing gum, and not really paying attention. As soon as something happens, your focus goes there, right? So that's your body saying, hey, we can't task switch on this one. We need to focus. You're about to fall, or there's a risk, an impending risk if we multitask, right? So the power of focus is so important. And the reason I'm telling you about it and calling it a superpower is because that will create your ability to not just to produce better work, to produce it faster, better work, better quality, faster. It will lower your stress levels when you're focused on it. And you can see, like, this company, Bethwell Steel, was more productive. Like, the entire team was more productive when they only got to work on 6 things and not try to do a million other things at the same time, right? And Warren Buffett also uses this, like the Warren 5 out of 25 rule. He says, make a list of 25 things that you want to do in your life, like your entire life, 25 things. Now do the top 5. Never think about the other 20 again, or else it will take away time from the 5 that really matter for you. Now, you can say life, or you can say your day. Because sometimes I know we feel overwhelmed. We're like, oh gosh, I have to do this, I have to do this. And if you have a family, there are so many things to do. You have responsibilities. Maybe you're in school, you're doing things, like you've got so many things. You've got a full-time job, you've got a family, you're in school as well. You've got a wife or husband, marriage to preserve and grow. And then in between, you need to find time for yourself, right? So you're like, Jacqui, 5 things? Like, this is ridiculous. You don't know my life. Like, you don't know what I'm going through. Here is the thing. Out of all the things that you need to do, there are some that are priority, and there are some that are not that important. So when you write down all these things, start to rearrange them in order of priority. I used this to stop doing things like going for parties all the time, that, like kids parties, because I don't have kids, and I always felt like going for kids parties was like, I mean, for me it's boring. There's nothing interesting, like singing happy birthday and cutting cake. I don't really like cake. And I didn't leave my house just so I can sing happy birthday. And the parties just tended to be like really boring, because there's no stimulating conversation. Bridal showers, the same thing, like all this stuff, baby showers. I'm like, if I'm not close to somebody, like really close to the person, then I probably wouldn't come. And if it's something that I don't feel I'm contributing value, then I won't come. Like, weddings and stuff, I'm like, the only weddings I'll show up for are people who I am very close with. Otherwise, I'm not really adding value. And what it does is it takes away from the most important things that I need to do. And sometimes those things are just like sleep, or watch a movie and chill, or cook my meals for the week. It doesn't have to be work. It can just be leisure activities, plan a holiday, or do nothing, sit and think. Like, that is something too. But if you're constantly the one who always is at parties, always stays at a party until it's over, like right at the end when it stops becoming fun, like you're always available for other people's whims. Like, people, oh, I want to go shopping, let me call so and so and they can come shopping with me. Like, that, your life, that activity is not going to add value for you. If you want to hang out with that person, sit down and make a date and be dedicated, but not sit and say, oh, we'll talk on the way when we're shopping. It's not useful for you. Like, those are some of the things that I don't do, because I do not see the value in them, for whichever reason, like whether it's my business or my life or my well-being. I would rather be home reading a book or doing something that I believe is useful. So yeah, sometimes when you're looking at that list and you're like, oh my goodness, I do have to do those 25 things. Sit down and ask yourself, what do you want to accomplish this year? What's important for you? If it's in terms of your family, what's the priority? If it's in terms of your career, what's the priority? If it's in terms of self-love, what's your priority? And then everything should be an offshoot of that. Like if self-love includes maybe going for a massage every month, but now you've filled your day with all these other people's responsibilities, and now you're having to compromise self-care or self-love, then you're not doing yourself justice. And at the end of the year, it will be very easy for you to look back and say, goodness, I had this goal to be doing a massage every month, or to join a Pilates class, or to do something like a course for flower arrangement, or a course for digital marketing or something, and I didn't end up doing it. But why didn't I do it? I can't even remember why. Because the things that you were doing instead were really not that important. So yeah, I'm telling you the truth that not many people would tell you. And I'm telling you from a place of love. If I didn't care about you, I wouldn't make this video, I wouldn't put it out there. And the fact that you're still watching this means that there's something here that you're getting from this, and this resonates with you. So do the exercise. Don't overanalyze it in your mind and say, I don't know. I get it. Okay, so maybe it's not 5 things, it's 6 things. But let them be in order of priority. And let them be built up from how you want the rest of your life to be. So if you want within 12 months, you'll have achieved 1, 2, 3, or 5 things. Sometimes you can only achieve 3 major things. Then everything that you do in those 365 days should be geared towards supporting those big goals, right? And there's a great Stoic philosopher called Seneca, and this is something that he said that I think is really powerful. He said, no person hands out their money to passer-buyers, but how much do each of us hand out our lives? We are tight-fisted with property and money, yet think too little of wasting time, the one thing about which we should all be the toughest misers. Powerful. And I really encourage you to protect your time. Protect your time like you'd protect your money, even more so, because money you can make back, time you can't. So I hope you found this useful. Click the link below if you'd like to learn more about my program, my digital marketing and mindset program. I work with entrepreneurs who are interested in getting clients consistently and also freeing their time. So if that's you, click that link below, and I look forward to seeing your application if you do make it through. And just before you go, let me give you one good one where I'm going to share with you why important beats urgent. The attention you give to any action should be in due proportion to its worth. The most common problems with a lot of time management or productivity advice is that it focuses on getting you to do things quickly. But the vast majority of things that people do quickly should not be done at all. Peter Drucker said, nothing is more pointless than doing the thing efficiently that shouldn't be done at all. How powerful is that? So look at your list. What do you want to give attention? What in your life do you want to give attention? Does it deserve it? Is it worth it? Is there one thing that you give more attention to than another? And you say that the other thing is more important? And maybe even do an audit of your time. Get an app like Clockify. And for Clockify, you just log in how you spend each hour of your day and start to see how you're spending your day. you'd rather be investing your day. When you give your attention to tasks that are worth it, you're investing. When you give your attention to tasks that are not worth it, even if you're going to do them real quickly and efficiently, then you're spending your day. And your day is a slice of your life. So if you're spending your day, then you're spending your life. So protect your time. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.